everyone. Myself Sowmya, Assistant Professor in CSE AIML Department, MLR Institute of Technology. In this video, I'm going to explain about Introduction to FSD. FSD is nothing but Full Stack Development. So in this video, I'm going to give a brief introduction about what is Full Stack. So how to develop websites using Full Stack, what are the different technologies we are using, and what is the different units we have in the syllabus. Coming to the overview of this presentation covers why to study this full stack development, what is the need of full stack development. So what are the prerequisites we need to learn this full stack development? Before learning this full stack development, what we need to know, and what is this full stack development, the syllabus of this corresponding subject, and what are the different course outcomes we have, what we are going to learn from this syllabus. And we have, of course, different career opportunities with this full stack development subject. Like we can be a front end developer, or back end developer, or database administrator. As we are learning all the different technologies which are needed for the web development in this subject, so we have different opportunities, career opportunities with this subject. And comprehensive skill set. So a full stack development course teaches both front end, back end, also the database technology. So it will provide different set of skill set for you. And end-to-end development. So end-to-end development, so whatever the different technologies we need to design a website, the complete set of technologies we are going to learn here. So independence and flexibility. So with the full stack skills, you have the flexibility to work or freelance projects or start your own web development business. So as I told you already, we can learn all the technologies which are needed to design a full website. So that's why you can do a freelancing, or you can design a website which you want on your own. And coming to the prerequisites which we need for this subject is, one is HTML and CSS, JavaScript. As we already know, all these technologies are needed for the front-end development. So HTML, CSS, JavaScript. These are the main languages which we need to know before learning this full stack development. And what is full stack development or full stack web development? So full stack web development is the name given by a process of web development that handles the programming and coding of front end. What front end will contain? Generally, front end will contain user facing interactive elements of a web application, and the back end. Back end is nothing but server side infrastructure. Also, it will include the database also. So generally, what do you mean by front end? Front end is nothing but a user interface where the user will interact. So if I want to open my Gmail login page, Gmail account, then what I will do, I will enter into the Gmail login page where I will provide the username and the password. So this user interface we are calling as a front end. So whenever I enter this username and password, these details will be sent to the backend. So why these details will be sent to the backend? Why? Because these should be verified whether the details are correct or not. So who is going to verify these details? The backend program will verify these details. How the backend will get to know about this information? Why? Because already I have signed up in Gmail account with some details. So those sign up details will be stored inside a database. So what this backend will do, backend will communicate with the database to retrieve those details. Whatever the details I have already filled, those details will be retrieved by the database, and it will take the details from the front end also. Now I have given some details for username and password, right? So these details and this database details will be compared by the backend. If both are same, then the successful login page will be sent as a response to the front end. So who is going to send the response here? The backend program will give the response as a response to the front end. So when it will generate the response after authenticating, after verifying. So whether the credentials are correct or not, it will verify. After verifying, it will send back the response to the user or user interface or the front end. So we are calling this as a front end and this as a back end. So to verify, to authenticate the user, back end, internally it will use the database. So not only for verifying purpose, to store the data, to perform different operations, the back end programs will use this database. So here, this is nothing but full stack, where it is containing the front end technologies, the back end, as well as the database also. So why full stack? Why they have given the name as full stack? So here full indicates that the developer works across the entire technology. So entire technology we need to learn here. That is nothing but full. And stack means it is covering all the aspects of web development. So all the aspects in the sense, so web page is nothing but, as we discussed in the previous page, it contains the front end, back end, also the database. So this stack is nothing but it is covering all the aspects of web development, such as front end development, back end development, also the database till the deployment. Everything will be covered in the full stack. So here, what's in store for you? What you're going to learn here? What is the front-end development? What are the different technologies we need for front-end? That is front-end languages and front-end libraries and frameworks. So to make our process simple, we also have some frameworks and libraries like JavaScript libraries or jQuery or AngularJS. We are using all these frameworks and libraries to make our work simple to design the front-end. So those technologies, those libraries and frameworks also we are going to learn here. And what is back-end development? And what are the different backend languages and frameworks? To perform this backend operations, we may use any different languages like Java or what we call servlets or Python, whatever we use, the different languages and frameworks we're going to learn. Also the database. Based on the requirement, we may use different database technologies like MongoDB or SQL or Oracle. Whatever the technology we are using, based on that, whichever the database is flexible for that, we will choose that corresponding database. So these are the things we are going to learn in this syllabus. So what is front-end development? Front-end development is nothing but every time when we open a website, find several UI components. So whenever you open a web page, any web page, google.com or gmail.com or yahoo.com, you will see some components, right? So here you can see, if I open a Gmail page, this sign-in page will be open here. In the sign-in page, I can see an email and followed by a button next and with some labels here. Right, we have some hyperlinks here, we have some buttons here, we have some components here, right? All these UI components which you are seeing when we open a page, that you're calling as a front end. The user interface you're calling as a front end. So to design this front end or to design this web page, we need some technologies. We need some we need some technologies. So those things comes under front end development. So coming to the front-end languages, so basically you are using HTML, JavaScript and CSS. Already we know HTML is used to create a static web page. So to create a normal components, we are using HTML, but to make it dynamic, to make it interactive, we are using the JavaScript. So already I hope these are the prerequisites to learn this full stack development. So before learning or before entering into this subject, we should know the basics of HTML, JavaScript and CSS. So in the HTML, we can design the static web pages to make it interactive. To make the pages interactive or dynamic, you are using the JavaScript, and to make your pages colorful or with some background animation effects, we are using CSS, cascading style sheets. So by using all these three technologies, you can design your front end. So these are the main technologies or languages you're using to design the front end. But along with this, we may also use some libraries or frameworks to make our work simple. So this is an example tag of HTML where I'm using h1 tag. Within the h1 tag, I'm writing hello, welcome. So this is the output I will get. So the same thing here, I'm using some styles here. So in the previous page, without using styles, simply we used HTML tag to design the web page. But here in this slide, you're also adding some styles. Of course, in your, in the future topics, we're going to learn what are the different styles we have, how we can apply CSS to different components. All these things we are going to learn in the syllabus. But here, I'm just giving a inline style here. So h1, along with the tag itself, I'm providing some styles which you're calling as inline styling. So here I'm using an attribute called style. So using the style attribute, you're providing different styles here. So what are the different styles you're applying for this h1 tag? The font style you're applying, the font style and font weight you're giving and the font color you're giving. So followed by the message is hello, welcome. In the previous slide also the message is same hello, welcome. But here for the same message, you're also applying the styles. So that finally you're going to get this output hello, welcome. And next, you're also adding some functionality for your web page here using JavaScript. So in the first slide, we have seen only the HTML where it is a static part. In the second slide, we also combined with the CSS where we got the output with some colors and some effects. But now we are providing some functionality for your web page using the JavaScript. So here the same message I'm writing H1. We are providing some style for this, followed by the message hello welcome, and after that I'm providing one more heading H2, please enter your name. And after this I'm creating a form field. So inside this form field, what you're going to create, you're creating a text field. Input type is equal to text. So placeholder here, it is asking your name, so we should enter a name. Please enter your name. You should enter your name within this text field, and you're closing this form. So here we are not using any functionality here, but we can make it more interactive using this JavaScript functionality. So here I'm simply providing a text field where I need to provide my name. So after that, I may create a button. If I click on the button, some message I should get. The name is submitted, or your name is so and so, something like that. That means the web page is interacting with the user. If I get any interactive reply from the web page, then I can call it as interactive web page or dynamic web page, which you can do using this JavaScript concept. So if I don't get any response from the web page, then it is only a static web page that you can design only using HTML itself. But if you want to make your web page as interactive, if you want to get some dynamic response from your web page, then you need to add your JavaScript part also. So here HTML provide only the basic structure for your application, just like the skeleton. And whereas if you want to style your a website, then you can use the CSS cascading style sheets. The basic skeleton program, you are applying some style so that it will become like this. And you want to make your web page as dynamic or interactive. You want your application to do some task like some dancing here. Here the image is dancing here. So you want to provide some functionality for your application that you can do using JavaScript. So we also have some libraries and frameworks for the front-end development. Till now we discussed only about the languages which we are using for the front-end development, like HTML, CSS and JavaScript. So using JavaScript, you can make your web page interactive, but in JavaScript, we have some different libraries. Also, we have some other frameworks and libraries which will make our process simple. So even in the programming languages also, we have some packages or libraries. By using them, we can make our work simple. So in the same way, here the JavaScript and other languages will also provide the frameworks or libraries which will make our process simple. So we can see AngularJS, jQuery, React.js, Vue. So all these are different libraries and frameworks which will provide some library functions or modules which will make our process simple. For example, if I want to perform some animation on some element, if I want to write the direct code, it may take some 10 to 100 lines of code. But if I want to use any predefined function in a single line, I can close that. We have some animate function here in the JavaScript. Directly using the animate function, you can perform the animations. You don't need to write the complete code. So how all these functions will be provided? Obviously, these functions will be provided by the libraries or frameworks. So by using any of these frameworks and libraries, we can make our work simple. And coming to the backend development, as we seen, the backend is necessary if you want to get some response from the server. So in the backend development, how the data can be fetched and displayed on the screen. So from where the data will be fetched, actually the data will be fetched from the database. So whenever the user interface or the front end is sending some request to the backend, so the backend will communicate with the database to fetch the data, right? So it is used to fetch the data, and whatever the data it is fetching, of course, it will process the data to generate the result. That generated result will be displayed on the front end, display on the screen. So we have different languages, programming languages, which we are using as a backend. Based on our application requirement, we can choose different languages like Node.js, Java, Django, Perl, Flask, PHP, Servlet. So based on the requirement, we can use different programming languages as our backend. And we also have different databases based on the requirement. Again, we can application requirement, we can choose different database technologies here, like MySQL, SQL Server, MongoDB, Oracle. So like this, we can use different databases as to store the data or to perform the database operations. And this is the syllabus of full stack development. So in the unit 1, we are going to discuss about the web development basics. So in the web development basics, what exactly we need? We exactly need HTML and the concepts of CSS. And also we are discussing about the version control. So most of us are using GitHub to get the code, to get any project code or to share our code with others, right? So like that, here we are using version control. That also we are going to discuss in the first unit. So the web development, we can do it using HTML, CSS, also the JavaScript. The JavaScript you're going to learn in the second unit. But in the first unit, we're going to learn about the HTML, CSS, and also the version control, where you can share your code with others. Also, you can get the code from others. So in the same way, the second unit is also regarding front-end development. So in the front-end development, already we are covering HTML and CSS in the first unit. And the remaining part is JavaScript. So JavaScript you're going to cover in the second unit. And also we have libraries and frameworks which are provided by the JavaScript. Also, other than the JavaScript, other libraries and frameworks are also available. But here you're going to learn about the JavaScript library. One of the JavaScript library is jQuery. So that also we're going to discuss in the second unit. Second unit is completely about the front-end development. So which is providing the details about the JavaScript, also the library jQuery. And coming to the third unit, React.js. So React.js is also another library which is provided by the JavaScript for the front-end development. So all these libraries will provide some different library functions which will make our process simple. So here using React.js, how we can make our process simple, what are the different libraries it will provide, how it will make our process simple, we are going to learn in the third unit. And coming to the fourth unit is about the backend development. So Java web development. Here you're using the backend as a Java here. So how the backend will work. So all those things you're going to learn here. Here also learning about a tool called Maven tool. So which is used to execute your Java applications. And the last unit is about the databases and deployment. So how the Java development or how the backend will communicate with the database, and how you're going to deploy your project. Once the project is ready, or once the product is ready, how you're going to deploy your project inside the cloud or any other platform. So that we are going to learn in the last unit. So here we are using Spring JDBC. So to use the database for the Java, you are using JDBC concept here. So as we are using SQL to connect the Java program to SQL, you are using JDBC. And a detailed description already we discussed, like in the unit 1 we are talking about the HTML, CSS, and also the version control. And already we discussed how the version control system will work. So if you want to share your code with others, or if you want to get the code from others, you're going to use you're going to have a central repository where you're going to store all your code there. So that can be possible using version control system, where we have different version control systems. But here in our syllabus, we're going to discuss about the Git and GitHub. And coming to the second unit is about the JavaScript and also the jQuery. The third unit is about React.js. So where we have multiple advantages with the React.js when we compare with the normal JavaScript or jQuery. And the fourth unit is about Java web development, where it is using the MVC architecture, model view controller. And the last unit is about the database. So that's about this video introduction to FSD full stack development. So in this video, we discussed about why to study full stack development, what are the different opportunities we have after learning this full stack, and what are the prerequisites for learning this full stack, and what is full stack development exactly, what do you mean by full stack, and what are the different technologies we are using in this full stack, and the syllabus which we are discussing for our academics, and different course outcomes. So course outcomes we can frame here. Of course, I didn't mention in this PPT, but from all the 5 units are providing different 5 outcomes here. So in the first unit, we're going to learn about the front end development, the partial front end development, and second unit is also providing the same thing. Using first 2 units, you're going to learn about the front end development, and the third unit is providing some libraries like React.js. So using React.js, how you can make our process simple to design the front end. The fourth unit is about the backend development, and fifth unit is about the database and deployment. So these are the different outcomes you're going to learn from the syllabus. So overall, if you check or if you compare, all these units are covering all the technologies which are needed for front end, backend, and the database. If you learn all these, also the deployment, so you can design a complete website and you can deploy your website onto your cloud. Thank you.